Are you tired of busting your bracket every year? Are you tired of unknown schools coming out of nowhere and beating your championship pick? Then look no further, because in this video, we will help you find bracket busters, not just for the first few games, but teams that could even go deeper and make it into the second weekend of March Madness. I'm Branden Blue, and this is League Bound. First up, coming out of the West region, I have number 11 seeded Rutgers. This is a team who's only a play-in team, and they have to play Notre Dame first. But when you look at the strength of their schedules, I easily think that Rutgers can beat this team. Rutgers has won 5 games versus top 25 opponents, including Michigan State, Wisconsin, Illinois, Purdue, and Ohio State. And when you look at the total strength of their schedules, Rutgers comes in at about 85th and Notre Dame is around the 97th area. On top of this, if they win this first performance, Alabama is a team who has played well against some top teams, but they have been inconsistent all season and have struggled significantly on defense and do not have the same prowess that they had last season when they made that deep run. Next up, out of the East region, I have number 12 seeded Indiana. They are another play-in team, but they have been hot heading into the Big Ten tournament. They have to play Wyoming in the play-in, but when you look at who they've played recently and just how hot they've been, I think that this will be light work for them. Just recently in the Big Ten tournament, they beat Illinois, Michigan, and they came down to the final shot in the game against Iowa, who eventually ended up winning the Big Ten tournament. They are a physical team that feasts in the paint and is led by Trayce Jackson-Davis, who is averaging 18 points a game and 8 rebounds. And in their Big Ten tournament, he averaged 25 points a game. When you look at who Trayce is going to have to go up against if they beat Wyoming and play St. Mary's, he's going to have to go up against Matthias Tass, who is St. Mary's star player by far. And I think that he'll prove to be a tough task for him to handle. So that's why I have Indiana upsetting St. Mary's. Next up in the East region, I also have Virginia Tech. They overcame all odds and managed to beat Duke in the ACC championship game by almost 20 points. And they've won 4 of their last 5 games. This team is a very hot three-point shooting team and is top 4 in the country, standing at 39.3% from behind the arc. When you look up their matchup, they have to play the Texas Longhorns, and this is a team who's really been inconsistent all season. This Texas team has had struggles primarily on the offensive end, and if they go for long stretches without putting up a point on the board, Virginia Tech is going to capitalize and assault them from deep. If they can't put up an answer for them, I see Virginia Tech taking this game easily. This Virginia Tech team is led by Kive Aluma, who's averaging 15.6 points per game, and has shown to be pretty consistent all throughout the season. Even if this Texas team manages to slow him down, I think that they have enough shooters to just absolutely barrage them from the three-point line, where it's really not going to matter that much. Next up, out of the South, I have Loyola Chicago, who's matched up with 7th seed Ohio State. Loyola Chicago is a team that really has a history of making deep runs into the tournaments, whether you look back at last year or even a few years ago when they made that Final Four run. And they have a returning piece from last year's Sweet 16 squad, an All-MVC player, Lucas Williamson. This team collectively has a strong defensive identity, and even though Ohio State has a high-profile offense and they have star player EJ Liddell, I think that this Ohio State team has really been on a skid, and like many of the other teams who I have getting upset, have been really inconsistent, especially when you look at their Big Ten tournament when they lost to one of the worst teams in the conference in Penn State. This is also the same Ohio State team who last year was a 2 seed and lost to number 15 seeded Oral Roberts. So I can easily see Loyola Chicago pulling off this game. Next up, out of the Midwest region, I have South Dakota State. Quite honestly, this is a team who I'm really not as sure about. This team statistically is one of the strongest offensive teams in the country. They rank first in three-point percentage at 45% and second in field goal percentage at 52%. While this team has not had a very strong schedule and have been shown up by most of the Power 5 competition that they have come across, this team has gotten really hot since they've entered conference play and have gone 18-0 in the Summit Conference. Stories like this are exactly what makes a Cinderella story. And I think that just from the fact that all of their struggles have came early and they've been so hot since coming into conference play, I really do think that there is a chance that we could see this team be a potential Cinderella story. Out of the West region, I think there's another potential upset that might be interesting to watch, a number 10 seeded Davidson. I think one of the things that stands out to me about this Davidson team is their identity as a team that kind of runs a very slow offense and likes to control the pace of the game. They are a very good shooting team, and they have players like Foster Loyer, Hung Jung Lee, and A10 Player of the Year Luka Brajkovic. So I think that this team is deep enough to go far in the tournament as well. Next up, here are a few players that I think are important to watch in March Madness this year. Obviously, you have your Allis, Paolo Banchero, Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, Jaden Ivey. but here are a few more underrated guys that fly under the radar. First off, for Brian, I have the nation's leading scorer, Peter Kiss. I just watched that NEC championship game, and the things he was doing in that game were truly spectacular. And even though he's in a play-in game, I still think that is going to be a very fun game to watch, and he's definitely going to add some electricity and energy to that game. And who knows, maybe if they win it, they can upset Arizona. Another player that I think is important to watch is Jalen Dern out of Memphis. The center has gotten really hot lately, and he just came off a game in the American tournament where he put up 21 points and 20 rebounds. He has solidified his spot as a definitive top 10 draft pick, and maybe even a potential top 5 draft pick as well. And if they win that first game versus Boise State, I would really love to see him matched up with Chet Holmgren. Next up for UAB, we have Jordan Walker. He's a player who's been putting up outstanding performances all season, and to see him go up against Houston, I think will be really entertaining. He just came off a game in the tournament, a triple overtime game, I must say. It was very entertaining, where he put up 40 points. I think Houston is going to have their hands full with him come the first round. Next up, I have out of Kansas University, Ochai Agbaji. This guy is a front runner for Naismith Player of the Year, but he is also probably one of the clutchest players in all of college basketball. You look at that clutch performance he had against Texas Tech, I think he is bound to make some spectacular plays in March Madness this year. Another player who I really think has the clutch gene out of Auburn is Wendell Green Jr. Auburn has shown that they are not afraid to go to this guy in closing situations. And with them being a struggling team as of late, I definitely see them being in late game situations and him getting the ball and possibly crushing some March Madness dreams. All in all, I think this year is going to be a fun year of March Madness. Compared to years past, I don't feel like there's really a clear-cut favorite, and really, the ball is in anyone's court, quite literally. And anybody can make a run and get this March Madness championship. If you guys would like to join a bracket, join the League-bound bracket pool. The link will be put in the comments, and we would love to see how close you guys can get to a perfect bracket, and if you guys can beat either me or Jake or Brody. But other than that, I would like to thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, please like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you thought about my picks. Also, we drop a weekly podcast every Monday, so we would love it if you guys could check it out. We talk about college basketball and a lot of NBA draft prospects and how they will translate into the NBA. Other than that, I'm Branden Blue, and thank you for watching.